Goeiedag, good day, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world.
I've been looking around for salvation. I've been looking around for the truth. All around me I see frustration, and I looked all over till I found you. I sit and listen to your stories, and you're telling me, please don't worry. There's a lot in this world you should know, and love in life is where you should go. If you're looking for somewhere to go, if you're looking for someone to know, if you're looking for someone to guide you, then love in life will guide you.
Goeienaand, good evening, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world, and welcome to tonight's live stream. And it's a very, very important live stream because we're going to be having two generals on with us tonight, a father and son. But before we get onto that subject, I've got some admin to do, I guess you could call it. So hello, family. I'm going to start tonight's live stream with an announcement. It's been a while since we recognized a channel hero. So tonight it is with great pleasure that I announce Jan van Zyl as a channel hero. Congrats, Jan. And Jan has been incredibly generous. In fact, he's the guy who donated the money to buy that hard drive that stores all Loving Life's videos, and that was a huge shout out to Jan for that. I can imagine Cyril Ramaphosa stamping off stage in a foul temper, knowing that Jan van Zyl has been recognized. Okay, tonight I'll be talking to General Izak van Zyl, leader of the Boerelegioen, and to his father Koos, who is a retired police general. We will start the live stream by talking to Koos about his background and then the state of the police force in South Africa today. We will then discuss the explosive situation unfolding in South Africa with a focus on Senekal and Brackenfell. And what I'm looking for, just in case you know someone or you're going to Brackenfell, I'm looking for citizen reporters to cover Brackenfell tomorrow. I want to cover it live. If anyone is able to do that, you'll need to have Skype on your cell phone and lots of battery. Please email me if you can help. Okay, the theme of tonight's discussion is community leaders should prepare well for mass action aimed at destroying the rights of minority groups, i.e. a joint protocol. Now I'm going to show you a couple of video clips that were taken at Brackenfell just a few days ago, just so you get an idea of what we're talking about. Here we go.
You're in the wrong area. This is Brackenfell, my bro.
You've come the wrong area.
Kom hulle vandag.
You've come the wrong area.
Watch the police here. Okay, that's pretty self-evident what's going on there. And there's one more bit of footage. Here it is here. Let's play that as well.
What are you doing here?
Get the wrong place. Get the wrong place. Get the wrong place. Get the wrong place. We will make you in your booth. You all stop right here. All of you stop here. We're facing you now. Motherfucking warning against all of you. Okay. Warning against all of you. What do you want to do?
And so they run. Okay, that sets the scene for tonight's discussion with General Izak van Zyl and his father, General Koos van Zyl. Let me get them on. Here we go. Hi, Izak.
Good evening, Scott. Good evening to all the listeners and onlookers. How are you?
Excellent, thank you. Excellent. And General Koos van Zyl, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much for inviting me to be here.
Great.
It's a pleasure.
Fantastic. Now, you're the proud father of Izak.
I am.
Now, tell us a bit about your background, Koos.
I was born in 1940, quite a long time ago.
80 years ago.
And I attend secondary school at Canon Eiland from the beginning up to grade 10 or standard 8 at those times. After which I went to Kakamas, standard 9 and standard 10. And I matriculate at Kakamas 1958.
Right. And after that you joined the police force, didn't you?
Yes. After Martin Oosthuizen Hoërskool Kakamas, I joined the police force on the 3rd of March 1959.
Right.
I went to the police college at Pretoria. After 6 months, I was placed at my first station, Groblersdal in the Eastern Transvaal at those times. Afterwards, I served in the South African police at Groblersdal, Marble Hall, Davel in the Eastern Transvaal near Ermelo, Sekekuniland, at Skoonoord, Nelspruit, Middelburg. I was in charge of the South African Police Law section from 1965, 66, 67, 68 up until 69.
Right.
I became a lieutenant and was transferred to Nelspruit, where I served up until 1972, and after that, I became the district commandant at Ermelo. With the Eastern Transvaal in those times, the eastern border of the Republic, to be guarded by the South African police. And I was in charge of the eastern side of this country for quite a long time, up until 1984. After 84, I was transferred to Potchefstroom, where I was put in charge of the western border from Vryburg up to Stockport. And I was in charge of the onluste politie at those times.
Right. Now, you became a general, didn't you?
Yes. After Potchefstroom, I was transferred to Pretoria, to the dog school there, where I served up until 1989. 1991, I was transferred to Durban. After that, back to Middelburg as the Commissioner of the Eastern Transvaal.
Right. When did you retire from the police force?
I was 52 years of age when I retired at Middelburg, where I bought my farm, where I still live up until today.
Right. Okay. Now, I do have to ask you this question, because you are obviously a very senior member of the South African Police Service. How has the South African Police Service degraded since 1994?
I served in the police force since 1959 up to 1992, the 1st of December.
Right.
1992. And the police force I served in has gradually become a police force to be reckoned to a professional police force. And after that, it started declining, and I couldn't live with that, and that's why I decided to go to my farm in 1992.
Right. But what about the police force in 2020? What would you say about it today?
My heart is crying for the South African police.
Right.
Because the members of the South African police at this stage represents a very, very poor organization if I compare it to the police force I served in.
Yeah. Look, we can't disagree with you. I think it's shocking what's happened to the South African Police Service. Now, that takes us on to the subject tonight, having got a bit of your background, Koos, and thank you for that. Okay, let's look at what's happening in South Africa today. And I'm talking about a particular political party, the Economic Freedom Fighters, who I call a terrorist organization, not a political party, led by a terrorist, Julius Malema. Now, they seem to be pushing their noses into places where they don't belong, and much more of this in particular in the last few weeks. Let me ask you this question, Izak. What interest did the Economic Freedom Fighters have in Senekal and more lately in Brackenfell?
They have no interest there. In Senekal, they had no interest, except for sympathizing with criminals, with murderers. There's no way that they could present themselves as sympathizers of the Horner family, because they stood in the right opposite position of the Boere who was there to sympathize with the Horner family and to protest it against the progressive number of farm murders we experienced this year. I think up to today, we had more farm murders in South Africa than we had the past 2 years combined. And that is a shocking figure. And that's why the white people mobilized to Senekal, just to meet this EFF there who had false intentions that they had to protect the state against the so-called aggressive farmers. which was not the case. And Senekal 2 proved that. What happened in Senekal 1 was isolated incidents. There was no proper command and control, there was no proper planning in Rekkie beforehand, and that's why individuals saw the opportunity to get aggressive against the police and to break the law in that regard. But at Senekal 2, there was no threat whatsoever from the side of the white people and the Boere people who attended Senekal 2. The interest in Brackenfell, they have no interest in Brackenfell at all. Because what happened at the school was not driven by the school, and they cannot keep the school responsible for pupils and learners who organized a matric farewell party in private. According to our information, the group who organized that private party also invited the black students who didn't want to pay the fee that was involved. And therefore, they didn't attend that party. Now they are mobilizing in their thousands, to do what? To go and plunder, to go and steal and rob, to go and commit crimes. That is what their interest they are, nothing else. And we know, you know, Scott, and I know, that they are not there to demonstrate or to protest or to, what do they call it, picket. They are there to demolish and to destroy. And that is why I am saying they have no interest there.
Well, rumors are that the EFF strategy on Friday is to have a large number of people not in their regalia who will go out and cause trouble, possibly damage. Those wearing the EFF regalia or outfits will then claim that they had nothing to do with the troublemakers. I'm going to just put a question to you, Koos. Firstly, just in response to what I said to or asked Isaac earlier, is there something you'd like to talk about there with the EFF in Senekal and Brackenfell, and this strategy, which apparently is the one that they're going to use at Brackenfell tomorrow?
Yes, if you look at this situation from the political side, it is quite clear that the ANC and the EFF are quite the same organization, with the EFF with certain orders to terrorize the white people as much as they could do it and try and stay out of jail after doing it. But they succeed up to now with the help of the South African police. That is quite clear.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. In fact, I would just add to that at Senekal 2, Bekesele and Julius Malema were seated beside each other in the courtroom, talking to each other. What does that say to you, Koos?
That say that they are the same organization, and they are driven with the big money from outside this country to terrorize the whites in this country and to drive the whites out of this country. Big money don't want white people in this country, and that is clear. Everything is quite clear. Just listen and look at the media.
Yeah.
Everyone with something between his ears can see that.
Well, I have to say that we call the mainstream media in South Africa fake news, because they just completely ignore so much. But if something fits their spin, like what happened to Senekal 2, they put their spin on it and make it out like the white minority group were the troublemakers. which is quite extraordinary. What are your thoughts on that, Isaac?
Yeah, I fully agree, Scott. And I touched on the agenda of the EFF, and the similar agenda is driven by the ANC. After Brackenfell won, Mr. Ramaphosa made one statement, and that was to criticize the hooliganism that was displayed by the white people.
Yeah.
But he never questioned the fact that the EFF doesn't have any concern there. They don't have any concern there. And the mandate given by them is a false mandate. It's a false mandate based on lies. And now they want to intimidate the white people in their own historic town where they are the residents, their own land.
Yeah.
And that should stop. And that we issued several warnings to the government and to Mr. Ramaphosa. And seemingly he was phoned by Biden from America, but I don't care. I want to see if Biden is going to stay in the presidency after the corruption investigations. But Mr. Ramaphosa should take note that the mobilization of the white people are very imminent and aggressive. And there will be a point in time where we, as the leaders of safety groups and safety organizations and self-defense organizations, will not be able to control the people. And then we are going to have a situation which Malema wants in this country, what we call an unleaded war. A war that is not controlled and is not going to be and people cannot be held responsible for that war. Leaderships, organizations, political parties will not be held responsible for what is going to emanate. And if the young farmers, and I believe that the young people between 18 and 40 are fed up. And if they are going to take the streets and the saboteurs are going to start operating in this country, I'm feeling sorry for the ANC. Because if they are going to gain momentum, the Boere people are going to unite behind those guys. And I can tell you that we are going to take this country back from the Cape up to the northern part of Zimbabwe.
Right. Now, there is one thing that is the tragic aspect behind this, is that a large percentage, a very large percentage of the African population, I'm talking about the black African population, don't want to be part of what the EFF are doing. You know, they despise the economic freedom fighters. It appears that it's the younger blacks who've been indoctrinated who are with Julius Malema. And I think we need to make that clear, because, you know, what Malema is doing is inciting racism quite openly. And yet the only thing that the South African Human Rights Commission is investigating in Brackenfell is whether that dance was causing racial division because only whites went to it. I mean, how ridiculous is that? They're not even looking at the EFF at all. Yeah, carry on, Isaac.
I was very clear in the past, and I'm still very clear on that, and that is that the EFF are a bunch of criminals, and they represent only 1% perhaps of the whole black population.
Yeah.
I was recently called after Senekal, and you cannot believe it. I was called by black people in leadership positions. I was called by colored people in leadership positions.
Right.
And they asked me if they can join the Boerelegioen. And not one or two, I can name about 20, 30 of them.
Right.
Who called me in leadership positions. They want to join the Boerelegioen. And I told them, go and form a Zulu Legion, go and form a Swazi Legion, go and form a colored Legion, and we can join forces. The generals can come together and start talking about getting rid of this rubbish in South Africa.
This absolute pariah. That's great to hear. Now, Koos, is there something you'd like to add to what we've just been talking about?
No, I think this is a very clear position, looking from a political side to it. But there is one thing that people do not understand very well in this country. And that is that the white people, most of them, want to be peaceful. They want to try and contain the situation from a peaceful platform. Therefore, the Boerelegioen, situated right behind the South African police, is in the best situation to handle everything that can happen in this country. They are not there to make war. They are there to handle the onslaught on this country through the Justice Department forever. They can handle it. And if the South African police fails because of their weak training, the Boerelegioen people are trained people, people with know-how, people with know-how in the midst of everything that happened in the past. They know how to handle it in a way that cannot be branded as war.
Right.
Or even terrorism.
Or even terrorism. And the white people in this country must realize that this is the only place where they can react on everything in safety, not to being put in jail themselves, because it's not necessary. If you cry war and war and war, you must take your weapon and you must murder everyone in front of you.
Destroy the enemy.
Destroy the enemy. But the situation where the Boerelegioen finds itself now is in a place where life and property is being looked after, not to be destroyed.
Right. Now, I just want to make a statement that, and that is that the white population, when they voted in 1992 to move to a democracy, they bought into the promise of a rainbow nation. And what has happened is, under the ANC, they have been handed a genocide. I have absolutely no doubt that this is what's happening in South Africa today with the EFF, that terrorist organization doing what it's doing, basically mimics what happened with the Nazis against the Jews back in the 1930s, 1940s. And what we've got unfolding in South Africa is a similar situation, the very early stages. And of course, the call to war is being fermented by Julius Malema and his outrageous speeches that he makes to his supporters, which is quite disgusting. Now, we have touched on the police earlier. Isaac, how should the South African Police Service display an apolitical role? In other words, be the police and not be another arm of the economic freedom fighters, for example.
They should be very careful on how they are conducting unrest situations where there's different factions standing opposite each other. Their body language are giving them away. We are sitting with footage where they are turning their backs on the EFF, putting the barrels of their guns in the direction of the small groups of white people who stood there and who also participated in the protest actively. There was even violent situations where people were attacked. But they cannot afterwards come and tell us that the only attacks came from the white side. The attacks were started by the EFF, who entered community in town where they had no concern. And all that white people did there, and the minority group of people, the parents of that school did there, was to protect the interest of the school and to protect their children against the EFF, who has got a reputation, a very bad reputation of damaging and destroying and violating and looting property, and even assaulting people and intimidating people. And that is the role that the police have to play, is to be very careful that with even body language, they don't take side, because that will be a very, very bad day in the history of South Africa if we can prove that the police took the side of the EFF in a situation where the EFF didn't have any interest in.
Well, don't you think the fact that Boerelegioen sits down next to Julius Malema at Senekal says it all?
It says it all, and he cannot tell me that he didn't know. He's not stupid. He knew very well what message his cahoots relationship with Julius Malema will cause. And we didn't do anything, and we didn't say anything afterwards, and there was not even one media report written about the situation there. But me as a media analyst myself and a strategic communicator can tell you that he did it with the intention to provoke the white people. That was his intention. I'm talking about Boerelegioen.
Yeah.
He instructed the police to assist Julius Malema. What is he? What is Julius Malema? Is he a god that he needs protection from 20 police vehicles to be escorted into Senekal? What about the white farmers and the Boere leaders who were also there?
Yeah.
Why weren't they escorted into Senekal? Why weren't they allowed even to go near the court? Why were the Boere leaders not being allowed to enter that court premises, to take a seat next to Boerelegioen so that discussions can take place afterwards? He showed with his body language that he doesn't want anything to do with the white people. And that's why General Koos said that the EFF and the ANC are one organization, and they are becoming a united enemy of the white people in South Africa.
Right. I totally get that. Now, Koos, do you want to add to that?
No, I think he said it all.
Okay. But
it's a situation that is, I pray that the situation will not escalate any further, as from this that we have observed up until now. Because it will not take very much for the farmers to go overboard. And the Transvaal Agricultural Union and Agri South Africa warned the government they must stop their nonsense now, because it is very hard to control people on the ground. They are not on parade. They are not in any way bound into a place where they can be coerced into a mode not to make trouble.
right. I just want to address those watching. We've got about 500 people watching at the moment. Please remember to subscribe to Loving Life to be kept informed, and any questions you might have for General Koos van Zyl or General Izak van Zyl, please put them in the side chat. Make sure you have Loving Life so that the post sticks out, and I'll put those to our guests a bit later. Now, this is really what we've been talking about, Izak, and I just want you to really unpack this. Did the South African Police Service display a clear pro-EFF agenda during Senekal 2 and Brackenfell 1?
Yes, I can. I already said that there was a clear body language towards the EFF, promoting and supporting the EFF, and they turned their body language against the white people. So yeah, there was enough video material where SAPs turned their backs on the EFF and faced a small group of whites. Their commander should have logically analyzed the real threat and should have faced the aggressors who had no interest at the school whatsoever. And they didn't have any interest at the school whatsoever, just as they don't have any interest at the school tomorrow morning. And therefore, if the police are playing an apolitical role in their joint operational center, where the civilian forces are represented, the civilian forces should have advised the police to close the entrances to the town tomorrow and to stop the EFF from coming into the town.
Yeah, that makes
because
sense.
they are going to create a situation where the innocent citizens are going to be intimidated and feeling threatened and feeling their sense of safety. And there's one basic right that every man on planet Earth has got, and the government has the obligation to see to it that the innocent residents, innocent citizens are kept safe. And if the police knows what is good for them, is that they will arrive tomorrow in Brackenfell and close down the entrances to the town and prevent the EFF from coming even into the town. Because the moment they set foot in the town, they have their foot in the door to break loose and to start violence and to start intimidating innocent citizens. And one must remember that the children are writing exams. And they don't need this.
Yeah. Now, I just again want to address the side chat and people watching. If there are any people here who would like to be citizen reporters, i.e. covering the Brackenfell event live tomorrow, can they please email me, because I would like to cover this Brackenfell event live. So if you're going to be going there, if you have Skype on your cell phone, that's really all we need, so we can actually cover the event live. Now, getting back to the EFF, how did they get a permit? I can't understand how they got a permit, and what is the legal issue for those who attend on the parent side, because I don't think they have a permit. What is the legality behind A, how the EFF got a permit in the first place, and B, what about the parents and their supporters who don't have a permit? What's the situation there?
I can try to answer it. General Koos can add on it,
Yeah,
if he wants to. I think what should have happened there, the municipality will not refuse a permit if the reasons are not valid. So the municipality who granted this permit doesn't look at the situation from our side. From our side, we don't think that the EFF has got any concern there. They don't have any role to play there. They are not there to, according to us, they are not going to be there to be peaceful. We know that. And the permit, any permit is granted with the condition that the protest action must be peaceful. Although we know that it's not going to be the case, and what the school body, the governing body of the school should have done, I don't know whether they have done that, is that they should have obtained a court order to prevent the EFF from coming near the school. And even the Taxpayers Association or the Citizens Association could have obtained a court order preventing the people from coming into town. But the police has got the obligation and the mandate to analyze the threat. And if the threat is of such a nature that life and property are going to be endangered, they could have decided to close down the entrances to the town. And that is purely a policing decision and not a decision supposed to be manipulated by political role players.
Right. Now, just as far as the court is concerned, I know the school did approach the court to prevent the EFF from protesting outside the school, and the outcome was that the magistrate or the judge actually rejected their request because the EFF said they would not cause trouble outside the school, and on that basis they actually said you can go ahead with the protest outside the school. Now that's currently being appealed.
If it comes out that the threat was not properly analyzed by the judge, that judge should be kept responsible if something happens to the children tomorrow, and if violence breaks out and people get injured, especially the children. And this should serve as a warning, because then I will myself engage in a process to get justice done to that judge who made the decision and refused that court order.
Yeah, well, I know the school has appealed the decision, and their appeal, this is how stupid the judicial system in South Africa is, their appeal was not put as a priority. It's going to be heard on the 2nd of December. I mean, that is absolutely useless.
What does that help?
No, nothing at all. Now, Koos, I want to put the same question to you. You've got the legal background in the SAPS. What you've got here, the two groups. You've got the EFF, who somehow got a permit to go and protest outside the school and hand over a memorandum to your teacher. I think that's what the objective is, according to them. And then you've got the parents, who are obviously concerned about their kids and the school itself, who are going to be gathering there, who do not have a permit. What is the situation?
The South African police has every right to object to the giving of the authority to these people to come to the school, on the grounds that it is a threat to the children in the school, and it is a threat to that violence could break out. They can stop it if they want to. But after you mentioned it, that the judge ignore the request of the school and the parents, it is quite clear that the South African police, the whole of the judicial system, is cahoots with the government of South Africa, the ANC, and they form one front to get things going, to create chaos, because the communists cannot rule where things are under control. Everything must go out of control for them to take control. That is a strategy of the communists.
Right.
And they are all cahoots. And it is quite clear now that in a situation like this, where the police turn against the public, while the police sciences state that the police are the public, and the public are the police. So the public then have to take things into their own hands and act as the police, because the law in this land and the police sciences describe the public as the police and the police as the public. And that's why I previously stated that the Boerelegioen is situated in the best place to guard the community safety and the safety of their property.
And to play the role as the civilian forces.
Right.
So they are forced, they will force the public to a point where they have to operate.
Right. Now, what role should the school play in countering the murderous intentions of the EFF? Now, we've mentioned that the court order obviously was rejected by the court. What other options do they have?
Bring
Isaac?
people on parade.
Koos, go ahead.
They can bring people on the parade and police the situation with the intention or the clear vision to make use of the term minimum force. And you can kill a person with minimum force, according to the laws of this country.
Now, my suggestion is that the civilian forces, and that includes all the security companies, that include the Boerelegioen, that include all the other safety and self-defense groups, come together and strategize and get the civilians who are attending the event or who are coming to the school or who are coming to meet the EFF toe-to-toe, to get them under command and control. And they can even stand in formations and they should wait on a command to act. Earlier this week I made a video where I said that it will be very nice to see disciplined civilians on a parade in the form of military formations, each with a sjambok in the hand. There is no law that can prevent them to display that sjambok. And if 1,000 people has got a sjambok in their hand and they are standing in a formation in front of the school, or they are making a cordon around the school and wait for the command. If the EFF attacks and the police does nothing, then we are forced to act. But while they are stand and toying and shouting and making noise, we wait for them and we pushing the police in the front line so that they do their job, the job they are getting paid for by our taxpayers' money. And they are supposed to do their job, and we will force them with our presence in a military formation to do their job. Because it will not be nice for a commander of the police to stand in the midst of two factions who are in a position to take each other on. And they will be forced to do the job.
Well, I just have to say that I find it extraordinary that Julius Malema is one of the commissioners in the justice group who actually selects judges for South Africa. He's actually one of the guys who interrogates these advocates who want to become judges. And obviously he's got a lot of mates in the judicial area because he's actually appointed them as judges. And I think, considering what Malema is all about. That just kind of sums up how ridiculous things are in South Africa. And yeah, I also just want to mention that with regards to tomorrow, you mentioned Boerelegioen. Are you going to have people there representing your organization, Isaac?
Yeah, we had at Brackenfell 1, there was also a group of our people, but they were not involved in the conflict situation. They were there to protect the neighborhoods and the hospitals and stuff like that. We got involved, as at Senekal 2, we got involved in a recce and in meetings with the police and other role players since last week. And a protocol was created by the Joint Operational Center, and the police are fully on board on what the role of the civilian forces will be tomorrow. And we will mostly deploy in civilian dress. We will not deploy in uniform, but we will have in the outskirts of the protest action. There will be enough sufficient support available to come in when we need them, and also from joint operations, people from other organizations as well. And yeah, and our commander will be on the scene. He will be there with the police, and he will try to get the civilians who are arriving as from tomorrow morning. He will get them into a group and give them a proper briefing as to how the protocol is going to work. So yeah, along with other organizations and the police, we can create a situation where the civilians are also behaving in a disciplined manner, and by that preventing Brackenfell 1 situation.
You know, Koos, is there something you'd like to add to that?
No, I'm glad to hear that the Boerelegioen is in full on the scene tomorrow morning, when all these things are going to happen, and that they are on the side of the South African police, and that the police commander will stand next to the Boerelegioen's commander. People with the same rank.
Right.
Exactly.
Now, let's take a hypothetical situation, and let's just hope and pray this doesn't happen. But let's say, for example, a gunshot is fired tomorrow at Brackenfell. And let's say it's fired from the EFF side towards the white parents, and well, they aren't just white; they're African, and they're also coloured parents there as well. What would be the response, do you think, if the Boerelegioen was in control and the police kind of just scattered and got out the way and you know, just did nothing? What would or should the response of those protesters on, you know, who are trying to defend the school be?
You see, our whole point of view is, and that is part of the protocol, is not to do anything outside the boundaries of the law. And that is why it's very important to get all the people who are going to attend tomorrow in one place where we can brief them and tell them how the protocol is going to work.
Right.
But if there is a situation where the EFF fires with the AK-47 and one white person is killed or wounded, then it's going to be very, very difficult to control the crowds, even for the police. And then we can expect a situation where the clans can clash and they can jump onto each other and start a war, a civil war. And that's a situation that no one wants. And that's why it's very important that our people are disciplined under the command and control of an expert veteran, police or military veteran, which are the commander of the Boerelegioen on the scene and his commanders. His whole command system will be there, and they will be available to brief the people, to speak to the people, to monitor and to provide the police with information. And I just hope that proper searches will be done before those people enter the town, and that they confiscate all illegal weapons, at least.
Because Malema had a bunch of those at Senekal too, didn't he?
Yeah, it was not ever broadcasted on the news bulletins, but I am aware of at least 30 guns that was
Wow.
confiscated by the police. Illegal guns.
Wow. Sorry, I interrupted
So
you. Was there something you wanted to say?
if they come there with the intention to shoot, they can expect resistance.
Right. Okay. Now, Peter Dutoy's just put a comment in the side chat. And guys, we've got about 700 people watching at the moment. Please put your questions in the side chat for Izak and Koos. Peter Dutoy says, we should not pitch at all. Parents, children, and the whole of the school. And the interesting thing is that the school has told the matrics that they're going to write their exam tomorrow at a different school, not at Brackenfell High School. And I believe that the actual school itself is closed tomorrow to 2 children. So it'll only be a couple of teachers there, I think, who will be there just to pick up the memorandum from the EFF. That apparently is the plan. Now, of course, we were talking about the situation where if things get out of control, you know, with someone firing a gun. What are your comments about that?
Yeah, if a gun is fired, I was in situations in 1967 onwards where gunfire was not very strange in every situation where I was. So it is quite possible that a gun can be fired any time. When it is fired, the commander must take his decisions. And it is not for any outsider that can make or project a scenario that could be, because every situation differs from the next one, and the man on the ground is the man that must make the decision of what to do. Now, there are certain drills that we could have taken, and the first of it all was traanrook, what do you call it? Tear gas. And the next one is hail guns, shotguns. And the next one was sharp ammunition to take out one person at a time. So, and the next one is the arrest of the whole mob into trucks to court. So there are various options the commander can follow on the ground, and it's not a situation that should be strange to the police working in the onlus eenhede.
Yeah, in scenarios of civilian unrest.
Yeah.
Right. Now, if that situation does unfold or it becomes chaotic, I guess one of the things that the ANC would very happily do is bring in martial law, which basically would then, with the fake news, they would be pointing the finger at the parents. We know that as a given. So what happens then, Izak?
Yeah, I'm the one that is optimistic regarding the fact that martial law cannot just be forced down in South Africa without proper consultation and proper procedures that needs to be followed. But yeah, I personally saw that several organizations
Right.
motivated their followers not to go to Brackenfell.
Right.
especially because of the fact that the school are going to be empty and stuff like that. The children are not going to be there, and I'm almost of agreement that there's no need for us really to be there, except for the possibility that the EFF can jump out of gear and start looting and plundering and damaging property. And especially the school is in the neighborhood, and the innocent citizens are around the neighborhood. And
That's what I was going to say.
the security personnel, the civilian forces that are deployed there officially, should be in a position to effectively handle the situation. The problem will come in when, excuse me, when normal civilians come in their numbers to the school and start to provoke the EFF, and the EFF start to provoke them, and then there's a situation where civilians are getting involved in violence. And that is the situation that we want to prevent at all times. We want to be there for the people, briefing them, training them, telling them how to act and how to behave and how to be a disciplined force and form part of the civilian forces, so that the command and control system will prevent a situation where the clans are clashing.
Right. Now, I guess, like you said at Senegal, you would recommend that only men attend this protest if they're going to attend the protest.
Yeah, no, I think it will be not good if women and children are forming part of the protest action.
Right.
If it is a protest action initiated by the civilian organizations in Brackenfell protesting against whatever, and it's a peaceful march, then women and children can attend. But where you have a situation like in Senegal too, where there is a possibility of clashes that can get violent, then it's not suitable. I, even before Senegal 2, advised all my members of the Boerelegioen, the women, the untrained women and the children, not to go with the men to Senegal, because we don't know what can happen there. And when I arrived there and I saw the women and children there, we wanted to protect them within the formation that we wanted to form. And yeah, it was decided, luckily the pastor came forward and he said that there is a church service just behind the mountain, and the women and children could attend the church service. And that paved the way for us to march towards town and to get into that police barricade where we could negotiate with the police, and where we could stand toe to toe with the EFF.
Right. Now, Koos, do you have anything you'd like to add to that?
No, I think the situation is very clear, and we discussed a lot of scenarios tonight, which can be taken into consideration for everyone who attend there and everyone who is in command there.
Right. Now, I guess the conflicting viewpoints, where some people say don't go, stay away, and other people are saying go, because there's still a huge local minority group population, and it's not just whites, it's coloreds, it's other people who might be attacked by this rabid mob of EFF terrorists. So, you know, we're not just talking about the school, we're talking about the general population who live in Brackenfell. And I think we need to be clear on that. This is why I think people are still going to go, because even though the school apparently is going to be totally empty, there is a large local population who could be attacked. Now, for the people who do go, why is discipline so important, Isaac?
If you are a disciplined force and you consulted the police before the action, before anything happens there, and there is a protocol in place, then you force the police to do their job
according to this,
according to the laws in South Africa and
protocol.
and this protocol. And another part of it is to expose the political agenda of the police, if there is one. If you have a peaceful intention and you are at peace and you are standing there in your formations and you are just visible and you are in a protective mode and your body language is not aggressive and you stand there with pale faces and the police turn their guns on you and start to push you around and start to intimidate and provoke you, then the images that emanates from that scenario will be very clear that the police has got a political agenda. And that also serves to use the Criminal and Procedure Act to our advantage in order to prove our innocence in a court of law if there is cases opened against each other. Because at the end, in a scenario where violence occurred and people got arrested, there will be court cases and you need to prove your innocence, the people who are arrested and people representing them. So it's very much important to enforce discipline to your people who are going with you to the protest action. Part of controlled action is to gather as much as possible evidence during the aggressive behavior of the EFF. So we will, by standing passively there and exercising excellent discipline, that can provoke the enemy to break the law. And then you have all the evidence and footage you need to make open cases against them. And that will allow the SAPS to institute proper prosecution when charges are laid. And that is the only reason why. People who are acting in an undisciplined manner are making it very, very difficult for the people to afterwards analyze the situation, investigate the situation, and to prove any charges that is laid in a court of law.
Right. Now, Koos, do you want to add to that?
No, I think he answered the question in full.
Okay. Now, just adding on to that point, Isaac, surely if things do go chaotic and Malema is attending this protest or this riot, we've seen that it's the EFF, would he personally be responsible?
Yes, he can be held responsible in person. And if he is not there, his commander that is there can be held responsible in person. And everyone trespassing a law can be held personally responsible. That's the way the investigation usually be performed.
Okay. Isaac, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, I think it's quite obvious that a leader of a group who applied for a permit for a peaceful action he undertook to take control over the people that follows him. And if there is situations where he are not able to control the people and crime is being committed, he can also be held responsible and accountable for damages and loss of life, and he can even be charged with charges of murder if people are getting killed in the process.
Right. Now, I just want to address, we've got about 750 people watching at the moment. Please, guys, if you've got questions, please put them in the side chat. If you are going to Brackenfell tomorrow and you have Skype on your cell phone, please contact me because I'd love to cover this event widely. I think it's very important that we get the truth out there because the fake news, I'm talking about the mainstream media in South Africa, will always put a slant trying to put the damage in the lap of the white parents or the other parents. Now, just talking about that, I played a video at the very start of this live stream before I got you guys on. And one of the parents who was defending the school and, having a go at the EFF was a black African who was actually a young man who'd gone to the school a few years before. And he had said openly that this school is not racist. And he was taking on the EFF. And Floyd Shivambu, he put into social media a photograph of this guy who was supporting the parents of Brackenfell High School. And not only did he put his photo up there, gave his full name and gave his home physical address, the physical address of his home in this post, and said, let's go and sort this guy out. I mean, how inflammatory is that?
You see, he should be arrested already. He should be arrested already. That particular person should have gone to the police, laid charges of intimidation and making threats to kill him. There's lots of charges that can be laid against him. And the police must act immediately when that charge is laid and he's got a cash number, a crime number from the system, and the docket is being opened. That detective who got that docket in his hand is supposed to immediately apply for a warrant of arrest and go and arrest that guy. Floyd Shivambu is not above the law, and he must remember that, just as much as Julius Malema and even the head of state is not above the law. And it's time that the law treats every citizen equally. If they want white people to be prosecuted, and which actually manifest in the South African law system, if we look at the Coffin 2, we look at the Kuluni 2, we look at Momber, then the law should be applied in the same manner towards a man like Floyd Shivambu.
Yeah. Okay, now, I just want to get my head around this issue with the permit. Now, as we know, the EFF have got a permit. The parents and the people who are going to be coming up against the EFF apparently do not have a permit. If the police start arresting people in the group supporting the parents because they don't have a permit and they're illegally gathering, wouldn't that be a really a really awful image for people to see after the event? Because then the media would just say, well, look, the police had to arrest these guys because they were illegally gathering, etc., etc., etc. What are your thoughts on that, Isaac?
My thoughts on that is why I said that it's very important that the people who are going to Brackenfell High School as individuals, as civilians, who are there to just protect and to observe, becomes part of the command and control system there. They come in under the control of the civilian forces who are in conjunction and in liaison with the police the whole time, and they perform excellent discipline. Then there's no need for the police to act against them. If they are there just to form a line of defense, there's no problem with it. And if the police want to act against them because of that, then the commander of the civilian forces should go to the police commander and tell him that you are turning your guns on innocent people. We are not the aggressors, and if the EFF becomes aggressive because of the presence of the parents and the civilian forces there, it's their problem. Then the police should act against them. And if any stone is thrown, the police should restore the control, and they should get control over the crowds. And if they don't get control over the crowds, then
disperse them.
They have to disperse them and arrest the whole mob of them.
Well, I've heard...
Or they have to chase them out of the town.
Yeah.
But
Correct.
If they are not going to act against people who are throwing stones and who are shooting or threatening people or provoking people, and it happens that there's a clash of the clans, I can guarantee you that the disciplined forces will win this battle because they are under command and control.
Right. Now, okay, let's just move on. So we're really advocating for minimum force when the Economic Freedom Front come there with their maximum intention to destroy. How do we actually equate what is minimum force and how is this actually done, Isaac?
When the civilian forces and the security companies, they are under the command of the police actually. So they take commands and instructions from the police. And if the police decide that they are going to use minimum force to disperse an aggressive crowd, then we leave it for the police. The police should do their job. Why it is necessary is very important, and that is to maintain the image that we, as the residents in that area, are not the aggressors. We want to maintain that image. And to prove our innocence, that emanates from such protest. We want to prove our innocence of and any criminal activity that emanates from such a protest action. We want to prove our innocence in this regard. And to force the mainstream media to write the truth and to not portray the image of the aggressive Boere and the violent Boere in their articles. Right. And that is why it's important, if you are part of the disciplined forces there, you use your cell phone to take as much as possible photos, to make as much as possible videos, and put voice messages with times and dates and the name of the broadcaster, so that that can be gathered as evidence when there is court cases afterwards, when we have to prove that we were not the aggressors, the Boere were not the aggressors. And that's the only reason why we encourage that minimum force being left for the police. And if there is a scenario where the police totally loses control, then we maintain our stance that we only act when we are attacked.
And the police can call for help?
The police can call for backup at any time.
Now, I have heard rumors that they're going to be bussing in tens of thousands of Economic Freedom Fighter members and people who they just are going to bribe by paying them some money and stuff like that, like they did at Senegal. So it might just be a couple of thousand EFF protesters or rioters. It might be a much larger number. We're not sure yet. And just on that point with people taking videos, we've got about 800 people watching right now. Guys, if you're going to be attending Brackenfell and if you've got the ability to take videos and photos, please email them to me. I will put them onto the Loving Life channel so that people can see firsthand what happened. So if you have the ability to go live, that's one step even better. But if you don't, please send me your videos and your photos so that I can actually alert the world to what's going on in South Africa. Okay, why is it important that white people attend protest action in their masses, Isaac?
My point of view is that we are busy with what we call in Afrikaans an opmars. And if we want to, at the end, where the EFF aims to be, to create a situation of civil war or total anarchy, the Boere people must be used to getting together and stand in unity against certain stuff. Like for instance at Senegal, there was a group of about 4,000 Boere who united behind the families of Mr. Horner, of the Horner family. And that is starting to show. And if you go back to 2018 with the first Black Monday event, we showed unity, and that creates it creates unity in itself. And you are the first one who say that we have to create a situation where we can say eendracht maak mag. And it shows a certain emotion and sent out messages that unfairness, unrighteousness, and the continuous violations of human basic rights will not be accepted by the minority. Up to now, up to 2018, they also murdered Boere on farms. They also murdered white people in townships, in historic towns. There was also a huge number of robberies taking place every month. We are known as the murder and rape capital of the world.
That's true.
Since 1994. And only in 2018 we started to protest. So we have to become a collective voice against the violation, the blatant violation of basic human rights in South Africa. And that we are starting to grow to a point and go to a point where we will no longer tolerate it and accept it. It creates a feel of belonging when people of the same blood stand up and join forces. Esprit de corps. The same esprit de corps that we experienced in the army in the previous days, in the police when we fought in the same loopgrawe, waar ons hand aan hand gefight het teen hierdie communiste. This type of folks mobilization creates an esprit de corps where unity is starting to bond people together.
And spirit of oneness.
Yeah, and it also creates a situation where we start, the leaderships of different organizations start to join forces. And that is the most important aspect of mass mobilization, to court cases, to Brackenfell, to every situation where we can show face, because the white people and the minorities in this country have to start to show face and to start in protest, to stand in protest against the violations of our basic human rights.
Right.
It stimulates patriotic pride and a sense of victory. Every time you see the images, like for instance in Senekal, when I look at the video materials and the media images that I saw afterwards, it gives me a feel of victory. And it is necessary to build up to a point where unity and the display of unity can draw the line, because that will physically demonstrate and manifest that the line in the sand is drawn. This mobilization is symbolic of forming a Volkswehrmacht, a Volksarmy that could do anything, and it develops the self-esteem and the self-vertroue. What is self-vertroue in English?
Pride.
Confidence. The confidence.
Okay.
To do anything, to defend ourselves against any form of violence against us, discrimination, violence, and the violations of our rights. And that is my message, and I want to close with this message. If we as a folk in our diversity can stand together on one parade, then the world will start to take notice, and then we can start to march towards our freedom.
Right.
That is the only point where we can depart.
Okay, now, Koos, what's your comment about standing together and people having to be there in large numbers?
There are two things that is in front of me, and which I want to mention now. And the one is that People of the same blood must come together now. And they must make their presence being felt by the people busy with the onslaught on the minorities. First of all. And secondly, if we, the white people in this country, want to live any longer in this country, or stay on, or make a way for our children and their children, we will be forced to make our first object de beskerming van lewe en eiendom.
With protection of life and property.
And we must succeed in it.
Yeah.
It's not an effort to be left alone halfway. We must go full out to succeed in this, what do you call it?
Praat maar Afrikaans pa.
In hierdie siening wat ons het. As ons wil oorleef, sal ons twee dinge moet doen. Ons sal wet en orde ten alle koste moet handhaaf.
Right.
En as die polisie die vyand van wet en orde word, soos wat dit wil lyk asof die politieke mag en die judiciary and the police are cahoots against the citizen of this country, to drive them out and to take their property, expropriation of land, etc. We shall have to stand together as never before. One hand a weapon, the other hand a truffle to build.
Right. Now, I've got a bunch of questions here from people who've been listening, and I'm going to start putting those to you guys. But before I do, Isaac, what's the best way for people to contact Boerelegioen if they want to become a member? What's the easiest way for them to do that?
We have a cell phone number that they can contact to speak to someone. They will speak to a senior member of the Boerelegioen.
What is
and if
that
the
number?
person wants to speak, it's 063
Yeah,
057
yeah.
0996.
Okay, I'll just repeat that to you. The cell number for Boerelegioen is 063 057 0996. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, let me
That's
just put
correct.
that in the side chat.
If they want to become a member, they have to go through the website, follow the join
Instructions.
the instructions that takes them to the join
Right.
page on the website. The website is www.boerelegioen.co.za.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, I'll just put that in there to become a member.
Yeah, I just want to mention, Scott,
Go ahead.
you are not automatically a member if you are a member of the Facebook page or the Boerelegioen media on YouTube.
Okay. Yeah.
If you want to become actively involved, you have to go through the website. There where you will follow all the procedures and fill in all the necessary stuff. Then you will receive a force number, a membership number. Like all police officers and army officers, you will receive a force number. And then you will be brought into the structure by the admins and the commanders, where you will be briefed properly, you will be screened properly, and where you will be appointed in a specific position.
Right. Okay, now I'm going to start putting these questions to you. Peter says, hope nobody pitched up to face these thugs. They can't fight for themselves. Let them be. Don't pay attention. Best is defense to just ignore them. Let them spend their money and waste it. What are your... I think that's pretty much on the money, isn't it?
Yeah, I think, Scott, there was a call by several leaderships for the people not to go there. I want to support them in this. Leave the protection of the vicinity to the civilian forces and the police. If it's not necessary for civilians to go there, don't go there. If you don't have children in the school that you want to protect or help to protect, don't go there. Don't create a situation of conflict where you as an individual can be held accountable for your actions. If you are there, come under the command and control of the commander of the Boerelegioen there. He will be on the scene. I can give his number for you also if people want to make contact with him.
Yeah, could you do that?
Yeah, it's Brigadier Mornay Eis.
Hang on, let me write this down. Brigadier Mornay Eis, yep.
His number is 071
Yep,
879
yep.
5405.
Okay, let me repeat that back to you. 071 879 5405.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so Brigadier Mornay Eis is the guy to contact if you're going to Brackenfell and you want to participate in the defense action against the terrorists, the economic freedom fighters. Okay, so let's continue with our questions. I'll just put the next one to you that I have here. Red Sky says, please ask General Izak van Zyl his thoughts on Cape Party now also getting people there to fight the economic freedom fighters. People are going to start a war if they take the EFF bait. Now, I believe Cape Party is organizing a group to actually go to Brackenfell tomorrow.
As long as they follow the protocol and don't be seen as the aggressors afterwards, we will fully support their endeavors. I think the more people going there and operate under the control and command and control, the better. If we can, as the minority people, show a force there, that will be good. The problem is, Scott, we cannot predict what's going to happen tomorrow. What if the EFF has got 100 AK-47s amongst them? They are a bunch of criminals. Julius Malema is a criminal, he's a murderer. There's proof that he sits behind the murdering of farmers.
Yeah.
Carte blanche exposed him. He was never charged. The ANC never acted against him. And I always say that prepare for the worst case scenario. And if you feel in your heart that you don't have the courage and the faith to go there to face the situation and the consequences of the situation, don't go there. And if the Cape Party wants to join into the joint operational protocol, they are most welcome to do that. If they are not willing to join into the joint operational protocol, I must tell them that they are on their own there. There will be no protection whatsoever. It is important that we have the mandate from the police to act as civilian forces. All the security companies, and I can tell you there's about 12, 13 of them that are going to be deployed tomorrow. It's private security companies. And the civilian forces that were part of the joint operational initiative, they will have the authority to act under the command and control of the police. And if people are coming from the other side, they can easily get the enemy, be seen as the enemy of the police. And we don't want to see a situation where any of our people, the minority people, get into a situation where they are seen as the enemy of the police. Not in this type of scenarios.
Right. Now, Koos, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, it's very important, very, very important that if the Cape Party tomorrow goes to Brackenfell, that they must report to the South African police commander on the ground. And they must report within the context of this problem also to other members of the civil society that is attached to the police tomorrow. They must go and report there. And then they must take responsibility for their group of people, and it is responsibility for the actions of everybody in that group. The commander of the Cape Party must remember that.
Right. Okay. ICAT says, at Senekal, are people who are disorganized. You said we should mobilize in the military style. How can we employ this strategy at Brackenfell? And I think this is aimed at you, Isaac.
Yeah, I said at Senekal that we have to walk in a formation, and that is mainly to ensure a situation where you have control over the people. If you don't walk in a formation and under the command and control of a specific body, then you can have a situation like in Senekal 1 where the police were attacked by individuals and state property was destroyed. So that we want to prevent, and that's why we say military style, where you can enforce discipline on the people attending the protest action. And the same will apply in Brackenfell. Every citizen and civilian who are reporting there, report with the police or with the civilian forces commander whose number I gave a few minutes ago. They report with him and he will brief them and put them into a formation where they can be used for protection of the school property, where they can do patrols in the area where the civilians are staying, in the residential area, where they can do patrols or guard the hospital or guard the primary school or the creche. That, you know, in such a situation where safety and security is at stake, everybody that can report to assist can be utilized to assist. And we are not going to be there only to face the EFF toe to toe. It's not our purpose. We want to protect our innocent citizens against the violence and the violent intent of the EFF, because they are a bunch of criminals, nothing else.
Right. Now, Koos, is there something you'd like to add to that?
No, I think he has stated it very, very well.
Okay. And I guess what we're saying is that people who live in Cape Town have got two options. One, which is a preferred option, just stay away. Two, if you decide you want to go to Brackenfell and be part of this defense movement, that you report to one of the leaders so that you can actually be basically part of a strategy and not a loose cannon. Am I correct in that, Isaac?
Yeah, we want to prevent loose cannons to go around and damage the image of the Boere further.
Right, okay. Now, Andre Pistorius has asked, please ask General van Zyl if the Boerelegioen will be present tomorrow at Brackenfell. Well, yes, they will. and in what numbers and what role will they contribute? Well, I think we've pretty well covered that, haven't we?
Yeah, I think we covered that. The members of the Boerelegioen will be there in civilian clothing. They will be forming part of the protest action, be unarmed and just a peaceful onlooker. And then we will have forces deployed on the outskirts of the protest action, where they will protect the citizens and
Property.
we give backup for the police and stuff like that.
Right. Okay, now
So
Charlene has asked, if
we
a
will be
fight
in-
breaks out tomorrow with guns and could be seen as civil war, what is stopping Ramaphosa for not calling out martial law? And we have actually covered that, but is there anything you'd like to add about that?
Yeah, I don't foresee a situation where martial law could be declared. I think if we manage the process correctly, in a disciplined manner, following the protocol, then there will no need for Ramaphosa to declare martial law.
Right.
The police will be in charge and they will do the job, and we will see to it that the police will do the job.
Okay. Now, Koos, do you want to add to that?
No, I think that can happen. There's nothing else to take into consideration. What is going to happen tomorrow is, I think, it's going to be a very peaceful gathering on both sides, because no one wants to be the beginning or the start of a civil war.
Right.
And if the police neglect to do what they have to do to prevent people with firearms on the scene, there can be
Incidents.
an incident or a problem, but I don't think it's the start of a civil war. It is just an incident, and I don't think Ramaphosa will have any mandate or reason to make his voice heard.
Right.
In
Well,
a negative way.
He will definitely bring his little truck that he parks, and then, you know, he pulls down the side, and then he can make his speeches on that thing. Yeah, I'm sure that's going to be there. Now, Oki Stratum. Oh no, first, Kate Cross. Kate Cross says, please make people aware that if a war breaks out, there are people who are vulnerable. The old, women, children, all across the country who will pay the price. And that's a very, very good point. Well said, Kate. Your thoughts, Isaac?
Yeah, we are very aware of the fact that if a war breaks out, they will escalate within minutes and hours to the rest of the country. And that's why we already started putting structures together since 2017,
right,
where we as a civilian force in each and every town have the ability at least now join hands with the security companies, where we can join hands with the police, where we can join hands with all the other organizations that are in the civil defense environment, where we can form a lager in our towns to prevent attacks in our historic towns.
right.
The ANC will have to make a stance if civil war breaks out, and they cannot never aim their guns to the white people who are just there to prevent or to defend their territories and their own lives.
Right. Koos, is there something you'd like to add?
Yes, no, everything that he said, I agree.
Okay. All right. Now, Oki Stratum says, Scott, please ask Uncle Koos if he thinks the police is up to handling a situation where complete chaos breaks out.
It's very difficult to say. whether the police are capable of handling it in a disciplined way is a question. But if chaos breaks out, I think they should have the ability to kill everyone in the vicinity. Everyone moving will be killed because they haven't got enough in between their ears to make a proper decision.
You see, the problem is the police. If chaos breaks out, it symbolizes the failure of the police to maintain law and order. And they cannot restore that order if chaos breaks out. Then it is what we call everyone for himself and the devil for the rest.
Wild West.
The Wild West. It's a Wild West situation, and we call it the clash of the clans. And then the police have to stay as far away from the community at stake as they can, because then everyone will see them as the enemy, and they will not know who to police or who is the enemy now.
Right.
That is the situation, and yeah, if chaos breaks out, it's total anarchy. It is a manifestation of the fact that the police has failed completely. They failed their purpose. The state is a failed state, and there's no recognition anymore for the laws of this country, and the law will not exist. At least the common law will not exist anymore.
Well, I think that the decision by the magistrate to give the EFF a permit is absolutely disgusting, and I think the only thing that is worse. Sorry.
It is disgusting, Scott, because he plays a very central role in creating an atmosphere of total anarchy.
Yeah.
And he will be kept responsible. I'm telling you. If there breaks total anarchy out in Brackenfell, that magistrate have to start packing his stuff and start fleeing this country because the Boere come.
Yeah, and I have to say the only thing that's worse than that is the court that refused the application from the Brackenfell High School to actually prevent the EFF from protesting outside their school. I think that in itself is, again, just reprehensible.
He failed his role in crime prevention, in playing his role in crime prevention.
Yeah,
he failed his role.
I'd love to know who that judge was who actually took that decision. Okay, so we've got a few more questions to go. Lord of Ice Coffee says, what is stopping us from starting a shadow government and paying our taxes to the shadow government instead, similar to what happens in South America? Separate our schools and services. Well, I'll put that question over to you, Isaac. What do you think about that idea?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. It's a process that have to be pushed, and that's why we created for the citizens of historic towns ability to defend their territories. And that's why we urge everyone to become a member of the Boerelegioen so that we can put as many boots on the ground as possible in every historic town, so that if it comes to that, when we make a statement and declare a UDI in that specific town, where we say that we had enough of the ANC, we take over all the services, we take over the municipality and everything that belongs to the white people there, we will have a reaction force at least to defend our territories and to declare that is part of our new country.
Right.
And that is a long-term solution, but in the meantime, we have to build on this what we call opmars to peace, safety, and prosperity. And we have to participate in every protest action, participate in every what we call in Afrikaans 'n geleidelike verset. Dis 'n leidelike verset wat besig is om op te bou, and we have to participate in that. And that's why we encourage people to go in the numbers to all these protests. Don't fear the EFF. They are not worth fearing. They have to know their place. Malema have to know his place. And that is my stance. We are not here to run away from the EFF. They are Mickey Mouse's, man. Crybabies. And we saw them, the crybabies at Brackenfell 1. And if we are now losing the momentum of what happened at Senekal 1 and Senekal 2, then we are going to a process where we have to start all over again and all over again. And we have to maintain this momentum. And that's why I say, if you have the heart, if you have the courage, if you have the faith, join the civilian forces tomorrow and dag op and come follow the protocol. Under command and control, display discipline. That is the most important part.
But no women and children, please, guys. No women and children. Okay, now Dan Berryman has said, Koos looks just like my opa on my mum's side. Opa Dani van Zyl. Is he related in any way to the Van Zyls on the west coast? Veldrift.
My youngest son is a farmer on the west coast, Lutzville, at this moment. My family was scattered in southwest Africa, Namibia, the Namakwaland, the northwestern Gordonia district, Uppington, Kennard, and that vicinities, all over. But I know a few of them personally.
Right. Now, I just want to address those people watching the live stream right now. Guys, for those who are new to Loving Life, we're actually putting up the full archive of our videos on a platform outside YouTube. And it's very easy to find. You'll see the website is currently under construction. It'll be up in the next couple of weeks. But it's called LovingLifeTV, one word, .com. LovingLifeTV.com. And there'll be lots of interactivity. Very, very exciting development. We're very happy that we're going to be moving, probably in the next year or two, our channel off YouTube, because you don't realize the tricks that these guys play on YouTube. It's just absolutely disgraceful.
I also started to realize that.
You're finding that now too, are you? Yeah, they're real. Yeah, I'm not going to go there. Okay, Sovereign Era, or Ireland, says, where are the most whites situated, and should we move all whites on that direction? Well, I guess there would be like a largely white area within Brackenfell, wouldn't there?
Yeah, what is actually happening now is the ULA is busy with the process of creating a two-state solution.
Right.
And I'm not going to go into the details. Hein Marx is the guy who's got all the expert knowledge about it. But the state they want to create is where the minority in South Africa is the majority, and that is the vicinities or the districts around the Western Cape, up to the Eastern Cape, the Northern Cape, and parts of the Free State, and even part of Pretoria and so on. I don't know the border myself very well, but Hein Marx has got all that details, and you can also speak to him perhaps again, so that the people can be on board on what is the development there. According to my knowledge, there is countries outside South Africa that indicated that they want to support the two-state solution, and the people have to go to register at the ulacongress.com. They have to register for self-beskikking in the hundreds and thousands, so that the numbers can be counted before the process is enforced, because I think the process will be enforced in due course, so that a referendum can be held and stuff like that. I'm not going into that detail because I don't want to create a wrong message.
Right.
But this process is ongoing, and we are supporting all the processes regarding self-beskikking, what do you call it in English?
Self-determination.
Self-determination. And that's why we say that in our historic towns where the minorities are still, I'm not speaking about the townships, I'm speaking about the historic towns, where the minorities are still the majority, we can do precisely the same. We don't have to move any inch. If the Cape can declare independence, the historic towns where we as citizens of the new independent state can declare our historic property, our historic towns, as part of the two-state solution.
Right. Okay, now, Captain C. Selters said, loving life, are you on any other platforms now, like DLive, Parler, etc., etc.? No, the simple answer is we're going to have our own channel. It'll be totally separate from YouTube, but as I say, this is a work in progress, so nothing's going to change on our YouTube channels for, I'd say, at least a year. But then once we're ready, we'll be moving to a completely independent website where, as I say, the full archive, over 6,000 videos will be there. Be very interactive for people who become members, and you just do that by supplying your email address. You'll get daily emails about what has gone on to the channel that day, much in the way that YouTube send out sometimes advices when someone puts a new video up. So it's going to be similar in that format, but the interactivity is going to be absolutely amazing, because it'll almost be like a mini Facebook in a way, because if you remember, you can have a profile page, and that can be linked directly to every comment you make with your name. There are a whole lot of stuff that we're putting in the back end which will make it far more inclusive, and we're going to have other people who will be able to report on the channel as well. And we're also going to be approaching other YouTube channels, like, for example, Boerelegioen, so that when they put a video up, it can go straight up into our channel, so that they're getting publicity as well on this totally independent channel. So that's a direction we're going in the future. To put it simply, we've had enough of YouTube. The games they play, which Isaac's just mentioned, they're playing games with him now. You know, it's a totally feral environment for someone who's got a huge archive of videos. Okay, now I don't have any further questions for us here at the moment. Isaac, we've been going for nearly 2 hours, so I think what I'll do is I'll wrap up the discussion, but I'm going to ask Koos to go first. Koos, have you got a message you'd like to give to all those people watching, you know, about anything you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, Izak started the Boerelegioen about 3 years ago. 2.5, 3 years ago.
Yeah, 3 years.
To gather enough people under the auspices of the Boerelegioen is not a very easy task. It can be, if I give you a voorbeeld of what happened in the past, Egypt and all the countries helping him in the Yom Kippur war against Israel needed 13 years to mobilize. It's not an easy task, and we see it every day. It takes time. Therefore, I want to urge the people in South Africa, there is no other place to join hands than under control, then there is no other place than the Boerelegioen to do it. On neutral grounds, where your safety is guaranteed. where the South African police with the Boerelegioen together are responsible for life and property in this country. That's my message to the people of South Africa, the white people, the boerevolk, die boere-Afrikaner en die Afrikaner boer. Hulle almal moet nou hande vat.
Right. Thanks, Koos. Now, Isaac, is there something you'd like to say in closing this live stream?
Thank you once again, Scott, for allowing us on your platforms and to broadcast our messages worldwide. We appreciate it out of the bottom of our hearts, and we know what we have in you. You're one of the best partners and friends of the Boerelegioen in terms of media. My message to the people and the South African expats and to the South African people who are part of the minority groups is that we have to start showing face. We have to start standing up for what is right, and we have to start joining forces. As I said to one of the commanders of the Coloured Corps in Cape Town, I said, bring the Coloured forces and we make it a Coloured Legion. And you, the general of the Coloured Legion, you, the general of the Zulu Legion, and me, the leader of the Boerelegioen, we can join forces in the command structures.
Right.
We create one protocol, where we create one Stratcom against not only the government, not only the violent and hostile organizations, but also against the New World Order and the deep state and the cabal.
Right.
And the people who are ruining innocent people's lives at this moment in time. We have to realize that it's not only a South African thing. I want to go as far as saying that there have to be a creation of an allied forces around the world of conservative people who can stand up against the evil of the New World Order, the evil of the deep state, and the evil of the cabal. Because if I see and witness with my own eyes what is happening in the USA now at this moment in time, it's only a question of time we in South Africa are going to suffer under the tyranny of a new world government. And we can prevent that by joining hands with the conservatives all over the world. But first, in South Africa.
Right. All right. Isaac, thank you so much. And look, Loving Life will always support Boerelegioen. You guys do fantastic work. And it's always a pleasure to have you on our channel. And Koos, it's been absolutely wonderful to meet you. I have to tell you, it's not often there's an older fart on my channel than me. I'm 65. So, it's actually quite funny because we were talking about the new platform that we're going to be on going forward, and we're going to have different forums. So someone said, "Oh, is there going to be an old farts club in there as well? Is there?"
You know what, Scott? When me and my dad sit on the clip in the field, and we regularly do that. We go to the sheep and to the bush and just sit there and just discuss all the stuff.
Yeah.
He told me not once, at several occasions. If you read the history of Caleb, Joshua's right hand in the Old Testament, Caleb was 86 when he
84.
when he led Israel into the new land along with Joshua. So it's not uncommon for an 84-year-old to climb on the horse's back and start leading people to a place where they belong, you know. So
Yeah, well,
it can happen.
age is no barrier, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely not, and I am a witness of that. He's still a strong farmer, getting up 5 o'clock in the morning, drinking his coffee, going out to the sheep, keeps himself busy every day on the farm, and after dark he comes home and to make ready for the next day. And
Fantastic.
And for me, it's very important that he stays busy and that he keeping himself on the move, because I know when he decides to retire, then it's only a question of time. And for me, it's very important that he still do his job every day.
Well, it's lovely to have a grandpa, not a grandpa, a father like yourself, Koos. You know, I'm sure you're a huge support to Izak. All right, now I'm going to wrap up the live stream. I just want to say thanks to the moderators for the fantastic job that you guys always do, and congratulations, Jan van Zyl, who has just become tonight the latest channel hero on Loving Life. And I just want to say thank you to all those people who've been watching the live stream. I hope you found it informative, and please, if you do want to contact Boerelegioen, I'll just ask one of the moderators to put the phone numbers in again for the main. Just give me the main Boerelegioen phone number, would you, Izak? 07 something.
Yeah, 063.
063, yeah.
057.
057.
0996.
Okay. All right. I'll just put that in the side chat, and I'll also put it below the video in the description so people can phone it from there as well.
So it's also on the Facebook page and on the website.
Right. And the Facebook page is just Boerelegioen.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And the website is boerelegioen.co.za.
That's correct.
All right, guys, I'm going to wrap up this live stream. Please, everybody, take care. And Koos and Izak, have a good evening, and thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Salute everyone.
Okay. Tot ziens.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, guys, I'm going to wrap up the live stream now. I will keep the side chat open for a few minutes so you can say your highs and goodbyes there. But yeah, look, I think we covered a lot of ground tonight, and I hope you found it interesting. Take care. Bye for now.